Texas Senator John Cornyn serves on the Senate Foreign Relations Committee and Senate Judiciary Committee. He also chairs the Senate Border Security Immigration Subcommittee. Mr. Chairman, thank you for joining us. I want to get your thoughts on not only the president's comments to CBS News, but also the breaking news regarding the military personnel being ordered to leave that U.S. base in Qatar. What does that signify to you, sir?
Well, first of all, President Trump has shown great courage in taking out a lot of the threats, particularly of the nuclear program, while the Biden administration was sitting there waiting for the #1 state sponsor of terrorism, Iran, to get a nuclear weapon, and a country that's determined to wipe Israel off the map. President Trump had the courage and decisiveness to take action. And I think, particularly in light of the arrest of Nicolas Maduro in Venezuela, the supreme leader and the regime in Tehran is very concerned about what President Trump may do. I know the intelligence agencies, Director Ratcliffe of the CIA and others, General Kane, Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, and others, Secretary Rubio, are providing the president with a number of different options. But whereas Barack Obama declared a red line, but did nothing about it when they stepped over that line, I think President Trump is a man of action, and I think the regime should be very concerned.
To that point, your fellow Senator Lindsey Graham of South Carolina chimed in. He wrote this on X. He says, this is President Trump's Ronald Reagan moment on steroids. When Reagan went to the Berlin Wall, he didn't say, would you mind lowering it? He said, tear it down. At a critical time for the long-suffering people of Iran, President Trump said, keep protesting. That will be his Berlin Wall moment 1,000 times over. And that makes me think of that recent interview he did with CBS News. He said, how do you define a win? He said, why don't you take a look at Venezuela? Well, they took Maduro out of office. He's now on American soil behind bars. He said, look at al-Baghdadi. He's dead. He mentioned a couple of others that they've attacked against. And that's how he defines winning. That seemed like a warning, at least from our reporting to Iran, that we're not messing around. Do you see it that way, Mr. Chairman?
Absolutely. And I think the supreme leader and the regime is on notice. They know that President Trump means what he says and says what he means. And the real question is which of the tools that his cabinet and his has presented to him, he decides to use. But this killing of protesters is untenable. The problem is that for Iran is that they are at their weakest point since the Iranian Revolution in 1979. They've been squeezed by the war that they basically have declared against Israel, and essentially Israel and the United States have knocked out all of their air defenses. Their economy is being squeezed because their principal asset is the oil they sell in the so-called ghost market, the ghost tankers that go around selling Iranian oil, which is subject to sanctions around the world. And President Trump has begun to lower the boom on that in Venezuela with the blockade there. But this is the principal way that this #1 state sponsor of terrorism finances its operations through its proxies, Hezbollah, Hamas, the Houthis, and the like. So this is serious, and they'd be foolish to take it anything otherwise. But really the next question is what happens next? Who takes charge? And I know that's part of the conversation that the White House is having, because they obviously don't want the country to descend into chaos. But it's a very complex situation. But I know President Trump is taking advice from his top advisors.